What if I told you that the part of you that survives death isn't just one single spirit? What if it's actually a multi-layered, energetic being kind of designed for this incredible cosmic journey? Well, today we're going to dive into a really fascinating spiritual framework that maps out our existence way beyond the physical. We're going to peel back the layers of the soul itself. Yeah, this is the big one, right? What truly happens to us after we die? It's a question that's fascinated people forever. And, according to some of these spiritual traditions, the answer isn't just a simple, it's over, or it starts again. No. Instead, they suggest that our existence just keeps going, but through this whole series of subtle, layered bodies. And each one has its own job to do on the journey. Okay, so let's get into the journey itself. The very first step, well, imagine taking off a really heavy winter coat. That's kind of what it's like. You're leaving behind the physical body, sometimes it's called the gross body. And right there, that's the moment the real transition begins, from the world we all know to these unseen realms. So the first question is, what's the first vehicle, so to speak, that we find ourselves in after we leave the physical? Well, this is what's known as the subtle body. Think of it as our main ride in the immediate afterlife. It's the very first layer we're going to encounter on this inward journey. Okay, so here's the official definition. This first non-physical form is what we call the subtle body. And this isn't some vague, ghostly echo of who you are. No, it's a very specific form with a very defined composition. It's actually built from the three subtlest, most refined elements of the universe. Now, this is super interesting. Look at how this works. At the moment of death, the two heaviest, densest universal elements, that's earth and water, they just get shed. They fall away right along with the physical body. So what are you left with? You're left with a form made of sky, air, and fire. And you can just imagine, that makes for a much, much lighter, more ethereal vehicle for the soul to travel in. And you gotta understand, this subtle body isn't just some passive shell. Oh no, it's the active vessel for our consciousness. It's literally carrying our mind, our intellect, and the entire record of our life's impressions, all those karmic stamps. And here's the kicker. The purity of that karmic record is what determines the body's lightness. And that lightness, in turn, is what decides just how high the soul can actually travel in these subtle worlds. It's all connected. Okay, but this brings up a pretty big question, right? If the subtle body is our vehicle, where did it come from? What's the source code? What's the blueprint it's built from? Well, to answer that, we have to go even deeper, to a much more fundamental layer of who we are. And that deeper layer is what's called the causal body. Now, this isn't just another layer wrapped on top of the others. This is the big one. It's considered the very origin, the root cause. It's where both our subtle and our physical bodies actually come from. Yeah, the best way to think about this is like a spiritual hard drive. Seriously, it's the cause, that's why it's called the causal body, and it contains the complete, unabridged record of every single thing, every action, every thought, every desire. It's the foundational blueprint that basically determines the nature of all our other bodies. And I love this description, a thin silver chain of light from the neck to the navel. It just perfectly captures what this is. We're not talking about a dense form at all. It's more like a luminous, subtle field of energy. And that makes sense because it's said to be made of just one single, super refined element. And that's what gives it this quality of pure, radiant light. So this is absolutely crucial. This body is both the storehouse for all our karma, and it's the key to getting past it. It's made purely of the sky element. And get this, it's supposedly where imbalances and diseases first show up, long before they ever become physical. But here's the hopeful part. Through spiritual practice, you can actually charge this body, which helps dissolve that negative karma and gives the soul the power to travel to even higher planes, like the causal world. But believe it or not, the journey inward still isn't over. We're not at the core yet. As we go even deeper, the layers of our being just get more and more refined, more powerful, and we get closer and closer to the ultimate source of consciousness itself. All right, now we're getting to the two highest states that still have some kind of body. And what's really interesting here is that these aren't seen as separate layers wrapped around the causal body. Instead, they're seen as these incredibly refined states of existence that can actually manifest inside of it. So if you look at this comparison, you can see a really clear progression, right? It's all moving towards ultimate purity. You've got the great causal body, which is made from these three supreme elements. We're talking about a substance that's even more refined than the basic ones we started with. But then, the supreme great causal body, wow, it goes beyond even that. It's made of pure, unadulterated supreme light. This is it. This is the final form with a body, the absolute last stop before the soul becomes completely formless. And so, that brings us to the final step. After traveling through all of these different layers of subtle existence, we finally get to peel back that very last layer to reveal what's lying at the absolute ultimate core of our being. And here it is. We've arrived at the very heart of the journey, the formless soul. This is the ultimate state. We're talking pure consciousness. No attributes, no vehicle, not even a mind, nothing. It's the soul in its original, unmanifested, completely and totally free state. It's the seed that everything else grows from. So let's just do a quick recap. Looking back, you can really see the whole thing as this incredible journey of progressive unfailing, right? We started with the subtle body, made of three elements. Then we moved through bodies that got more and more refined and powerful, all the way to the ultimate simplicity and absolute freedom of the formless soul. So what we've really done here is laid out a kind of spiritual map, one that outlines a path from our physical self all the way down to our deepest core. And that, well, that leaves us with one final and I think pretty profound thought. If this map is even a little bit true, if this is the journey, then what inner work could you begin right now to start getting even a tiny glimpse of your own true formless self?